So as you know, Sankar will be speaking on nutrition, and we have Annie Searles who will also be speaking on meditation. I'm going to start. Annie's going to be our first speaker, and I'm just going to read a little bit about her, and then I'll hand it over. We'll hold questions for the end, because I'm sure some people have some kind of questions for them both. Right? Annie Searles wouldn't claim to be an expert on anything, but she's seen here. I'm sorry. Let me start again. Annie Searles wouldn't claim to be an expert on anything, but she has seen her share of stress. Over the past 5 years, Annie has ended a 15-year career with one company to start a new path 2,500 miles away, with a company in a state she had never even set foot in prior to her first day of work. She has sent 2 children off to college at opposite ends of the country and moved 1 child and a dog to Arizona, and is hoping to sell her home back in Connecticut next month so that her husband can move here and join her. When Annie arrived here, she did not own one single relationship in or outside of this building. Here to share a little bit more about how she's dealt with that stress, I welcome Annie.
I'm not going to use a mic. I don't typically have a problem projecting. Hopefully that's okay. Not one of my many issues. Welcome everybody. I'm so excited. I'm so excited we have a great audience here. I'm going to get started because we have a timeline and we want to make sure we have time for questions at the end. So I'm going to start with a question. How many people in the room have ever experienced work stress? Don't be shy. Raise your hand. Let me see. Hold them high. That's it? Except for Eric. Okay. So the good news is you're not alone. Work can be very stressful. Life in general is pretty stressful. So I wanted to share with you a little bit about what I do with stress. I've said this, you may have heard me say this, I may have told this to you as you're walking out the door once or twice. Put it down. Just put it down. I would use let it go, but another princess took that lunch. I'm going to put it down. Okay? I say put it down. I said put it down to Andrea a couple days ago, not as literally as that sounds, but she challenged me on it. She said, what does that mean, put it down? And it was a really good point. To me, it's very clear what that means. And that's because I'm where I am. I feel like I'm very good at putting things down, and that hasn't come easily to me. As Andrea said in my bio, there's a lot going on, and sometimes it's hard to put it down. But for me, I want to tell you a story to kind of put it into perspective for you. About a year ago, I went on a backpacking trip with my daughter, Hattie. She convinced me to hike 24 miles up one side of the mountain and down the other in Montana. And what that meant was that we would stay. Obviously, we're not going to do 24 miles in one day. So that meant putting on a pack that had a tent and a sleeping bag and food and actually a special canister that you put your food in so that the bears don't eat you. So it had its own amount of stress, this trip. But the most stressful part of the trip was the backpack. And I'll tell you, the morning that we started, I put that backpack on, and I'm not going to lie to you, it was heavy. It was a heavy backpack. But I thought, I can do this. I'm in shape. I hike all the mountains around here every weekend. I can do this. So I put the pack on, and at about 8 miles in, it started to get really, really heavy. Now, it was the same pack I started with, but it got really heavy. If you guys know what I'm talking about. At that point, I decided that if I stop or if I put it down, I might not be able to pick it up again. Okay? It puts stress into that perspective. Has anyone ever felt like that? If I stop, I won't be able to start again. If I leave tonight, I might not be able to come in the morning. Okay, right? But then what do? You take it home with you. You're like, okay, I got my laptop. I'll just go home and do more. All right, so you get it. I made it up the mountain. We got to this beautiful lake at the top. And I say beautiful. I ate the most beautiful powdered mashed potatoes you can imagine. They tasted so good. I slept well that night. I woke up in the morning to a beautiful sunrise and breakfast, and when I put that pack back on, guess what? It wasn't so heavy. It wasn't the heavy that it was 12 miles in. So when you think about your stress, I want you to start there. Think about what it is you're carrying every day and how much you're carrying and how long you're carrying it for. And if you're carrying that great big pack and you go home with it, And then you start putting dishes in there, and you start putting laundry, and dog hair, and husbands, and kids. And I don't even know all your stresses. I can only speak for mine, but it starts to get really, really, really heavy. And if you're carrying it every day, and you're not taking time to eat dinner and watch the sunrise and the sunset, it gets really, really heavy. So when I say put it down, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Now that I put it into perspective for you, it's still easier said than done, right? So I want to share with you how I got to a place where I couldn't put it down, and then I got to that place where I did. And that was when I first moved here, and as Andrea said in my bio, I have a lot going on. When I first came here, though, the only thing I had was that pack. So imagine, I don't know anybody, I have no social life, I have no friends, I have no family here, I have no commitment whatsoever except for this job. And I'm brand new systems, new processes, new people, so you get the idea. It was extremely stressful. But since I had no other commitments, I just carried that backpack around with me all day, every day. Took it home with me. The only thing I had at home was an air mattress on the floor and a television, and I don't even watch television. But it was my company. I slept with a backpack. Sometimes it would wake me up snoring so loud that I would have to get up and log on and do work because it was too loud. I couldn't sleep. You get my point. I carried it around with me, and it got to a point, and I would say it was about a month or 6 weeks in, where I was looking at my repayment agreement. Has anyone ever relocated and found yourself looking at your repayment agreement? And I was nowhere near that point. I was like, oh my gosh, am I really here in this place? That's how stressful it was. So I put the repayment agreement down, and I said, I have better options. Let me think about this. And I think at that point I knew I needed something more. So I walked across the street up my house to an assisted living facility, where I asked if they needed any volunteers. This place specialized in people with memory care issues, so they were very forgetful and very forgiving people. I did start volunteering, and that was about 1.5 years ago. I started, and since then I've been teaching meditation there 3 nights a week. So today I wanted to see, and by show of hands, would anyone like to experience a little piece of what that meditation looks like, because it's something that's really helped me.
Yes.
Okay. So a couple things I'll share with you first, since you're interested. Meditation for me wasn't something that I had any experience with whatsoever. I'd never done it before, and when they asked me to do it, I knew who my audience was, and I was like, okay. Because if I screw it up, the next day when I come to do it again, they're not going to remember. So it's a perfect learning opportunity, because you get, it's like Groundhog Day. Anyone seen that movie? Yeah. It really was like that. I could try it this way, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'd like that. Try it this way, try it this way. I learned how to meditate, and I learned how to guide people through meditation. And the beauty of it is the practice. I learned that it's not, for me, as much a spiritual experience. I think some people, for them it is. For me, it's a practice like getting on a treadmill. It's teaching my body and my brain in any given moment to relax. Do you guys know the story of Pavlov's dog? Okay, it's very similar. So he's breathing instead of the bell. Okay, if you know the story. If not, look it up. I'd love to tell it to you here, but I don't have time. So it's very similar. You're training your body. It's like muscle memory. So when we go through this process, what you'll see is we start by clearing our minds and relaxing our minds, and then we move to our bodies. The most important part of meditation is breathing. So we're going to start with just 3 practice breaths. When I say 3 practice breaths, when you breathe, most often we breathe to about here. We breathe in short, we breathe out short, and we kind of recycle that air in our lungs. We just keep it in there and recycle it. So during meditation, you want to expel it. So when you breathe in, breathe all the way in. I want to see your shoulders go back. When you breathe out, you breathe all the way out. Okay, so let's just practice. Breathe in and breathe out. Keep breathing. Keep breathing. Keep breathing. That's how deep you breathe out. Breathe in again. This time it's deeper because you pushed all that old air out. And then breathe out again. One more time in. And we'll get started. So we're going to start by clearing our mind. So with my friends in the assisted living facility, I share this with them. I say, remember how important your breathing is during meditation. That's just a reminder. Remember that you are responsible. Remember who you are and how far you've come and how much you've learned. Remember all the sincere compliments that people have given to you and all the gifts that your friends and family have given to you. Remember the gift of nature. Remember that you are real, you are a miracle, and love brought you here. that clears their mind. So your mind is clear and ready to go into meditation. So go ahead and close your eyes. Nobody's looking because all of our eyes are closed. What I want you to do is imagine, take a deep breath, and as you breathe in, I want you to focus on the muscles in your forehead. Go ahead and breathe in. As you breathe in, raise your eyebrows and stretch those muscles in your forehead. And as you breathe out, relax those muscles. Let the tension from your forehead go. Breathe all the way out. Next, we're going to focus on the muscles in our cheeks and our jaws. So as you breathe in, I want you to bite down just a little bit, clench your jaw, tense those muscles. Breathe in. Create that tension. And as you breathe out, slowly relax your jaw. Let your mouth fall slightly open. Just release that tension in your jaw. Next, we're going to focus on the muscles in our neck. So as you breathe in, I want you to just slowly take your ear to your shoulder. You don't need to touch it. Just feel that tension in your neck. And breathe out, releasing the tension. Let your chin fall towards your chest. And we're going to relax our shoulders. So as you breathe in, I want you to raise your shoulders up towards your ears. As you breathe in, shrug your shoulders. And as you breathe out, slowly relax your shoulders. Go ahead and open your eyes. I've taken you only a quarter of the way through the process, but you can see it's very simple. You're not going to feel the effects of meditation on your first try. The same way you're not going to feel that your bicep is bigger after your first 5 or 10 reps of a bicep curl, right? It's a practice. So I encourage you to find a place to try it. If anyone is interested, I would be happy to have a lunchtime guided session and get you guys started. I would be happy to commit to it. Just let me know. I know we're going to have a question and answer session after this. But I'm going to leave you with that. The one thing I will say is we always finish meditation with gratitude. So I thank you all for coming. I thank you for taking part in this little experience, and I hope that you take away something from today that will help you deal a little more with your stress.
Thank you.
Thank you. Adrian?
Unlike Annie, I need a microphone. It's hard being a camera person and see. Anyway, now we have Shankar, and just a little bit of background. Shankar happened to attend one of our coffee houses, and I was sitting next to him, and somehow, I think it was Mike Tracy who mentioned that he's into nutrition. Now, Mike teases me a lot, and I'm pretty gullible, so I thought he was just teasing about it, but of course he wasn't. So just things like that. I've known Shankar for many, many years, probably since I've been in this building, which is a long time. And to know that that's just something I didn't know about him. So we learn a lot about the people that we work with, because this environment allows us to get a little more personal. And we shared various things, and so it's been a really, really great experience like today. So I'm going to just read a little bit about Shankar, which most of you probably wouldn't know. Shankar, he's a holistic nutrition specialist and a Western herbalist, focuses on nutritional and herbal therapies. His goal is to educate and empower people in supporting their health goals. To do this, he uses the body's innate abilities with wholesome organic food, natural, non-toxic herbs, and highest quality nutritional supplements, along with simple lifestyle changes that assist in creating a healthy environment. His belief is in healing power of nature, and it is his personal knowledge and understanding that the human body is inherently able to restore and maintain health. Shankar has been trained in a holistic nutrition and Western herbalism at Southwest Institute of Healing Arts, and that's located in Tempe, Arizona. His passion lies in educating how to best enhance the body's own innate healing capacity. So I give you Sankar Jayavelu.
Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, Angela. It was a beautiful meditation process. And thank you, each and every one of you, for coming to this coffee house. It is super exciting for me. And today is Friday. So happy Friday for him. That's a stress buster. So there was a team of people at the Mayo Clinic who did a survey among all the corporations like us to find out what is the single most important complaint that everybody had. And they found out that it was not the salary, it was not the number of hours that they put in, but it was stress. Stress was the number one complaint that everybody had told. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about the physiological and the psychological aspect of stress and what we can do about it. One aspect of our lifestyle, if we change, how we can modulate that in our body. So psychologically, what happens? When we are under constant stress, people tend to overeat, or they go into alcoholism, or they go into depression, taking medications, or at the worst, people internalize it and show it as anger among the co-workers or with family and friends. This is what happens, and we can all relate to that in one way or the other. So now let's see what happens physiologically inside the body, because it is important to know what happens inside our body when we are stressed out. And I'm talking about chronic stress that is there all the time for us, like chasing 30 tasks at the same time, what we call as the multitasking. What happens inside our body? So in our brain, there is this little portion deep inside our brain called hypothalamus. It is like the CEO of the glands that we have in our body. So when it perceives something as stress, it sends out a whole bunch of signals and hormones to all parts of the body to get the body ready to be fight or flight response. So it sends a signal to the pituitary gland, which is the size of a pea, and it is like the manager. Pituitary gland is like the manager, and it says, hey, you go and take care of the stress. So there are other worker glands, the endocrine glands are there. One of the important endocrine glands related to stress is the adrenals. You might have heard of adrenal gland. So these adrenal glands are two small lumps, the size of a sugar cube, that is placed on top of the kidneys, deep in the back of the body. And what these adrenal glands does is, it is very, very important because it handles the stress system in our body. And also it handles the outer part of the adrenal gland, manages the blood pressure. The inner part of the adrenal gland manages the blood sugar. And also the inner part of the adrenal gland, it has links to the male and female sex hormones. So when the adrenal gland, the stress gland is stressed out, all these three things gets affected. And there are evidences to prove that one. So when the hypothalamus sends the signal, there are multiple hormones that are related to that. I want to talk only about two. The first one, we might already be very familiar, adrenaline. Right? We all know about adrenaline. So when we perceive something as stress, the body sends the message to the adrenal glands to produce adrenaline. So the function, simple function of adrenaline is to make the body fight or fight. You just run away from a danger or you fight. But we tend to send emails. At that so this happens. So it prepares the body for a fight or flight. And also what it does is it makes the heart pump faster, because you have to run away from some kind of a stressful situation. The heart beats faster, and also the blood pressure increases, and there are some capillaries that becomes constricted and some are dilated. So our body is preparing, our muscles are getting prepared to run away from something. So that's the function of the adrenaline. Now the other function, so we can see what happens in the adrenaline is in excess. It is there in minute quantities in our body. But if the adrenaline is very excess, then we get high blood pressure and also heart problems, because it makes it pump too much faster. Now the other hormone is cortisol. It is very important hormone that balances our stress level, and also it helps with the sleep and the wake cycle. When we are awake in the morning, the cortisol level is high. It is needed in our body to do active job. In the afternoon, it slows down, and in the night, it goes down to almost zero because we go to bed. So cortisol is needed but it is needed in a certain pattern in our body. So what happens when the cortisol is too high? And the other important function of the cortisol is to create energy. So if you are stressed out, cortisol is produced, it creates energy. How it creates energy is, it pulls out the protein from the muscles, and then it sends it to the liver and makes glucose. That's what it does. That's the function it does. Because under stressful condition, you need glucose immediately. So that's what cortisol does. So now, when there is too much of cortisol under extreme stress, we have chronic stress, it goes up very high. So when it is very high, then we get hypertension. People get anxious, and nervousness happens. All these things, and also for women, polycystic ovarian syndrome is another problem that they have because of excess cortisol in the body. If the cortisol is reduced too much, because we are taxing the body so much, it is like goes up and down and up and down, then there is fatigue in the body. That is called as adrenal fatigue. People are tired all the time, and we crash around 3 or 4 o'clock. A lot of us have these experiences. We are so tired because the cortisol level is not maintained in the body. It just shoots down, actually. So adrenal fatigue, and also there is impotency problem that happens with men because we are so tired and the cortisol level is low. Too much or too less is not good. Also, there are a couple of other things that happens in the body. The first one is there is a biofeedback that goes when we are stressed out. As I mentioned, cortisol level is high. When it is high, we are ready to run and do something. So the immune system in our body, which is the defense system, that takes a backseat. The white blood cells goes down. It is the biofeedback that happens inside the body. So when the white blood cell goes down, then we are prone to having disease. We are prone to get sick. So when we are stressed out too much, then we get sick easily. And it takes time for a person who is sick to recover faster. So that's one important thing. The other issue that happens is digestion. It also affects our appetite. We want to eat more when we are stressed out. We need comfort food, chocolate cakes, cupcakes, whatever we want to do. You know, but these are fantastic words. So please come and have it on a regular basis. When the appetite is changed, our digestion becomes less because we are putting the energy in our body for a stressful response. And also the probiotics in our gut, those help with the digestion and the immunity, and both those take a hit. So leaky gut syndrome, irritable bowel syndrome, all those sluggish digestions happen. The last thing, one major thing that happens in our body when we are in chronic stress, I'm talking about chronic stress, is how we metabolize food in our body. What happens is when a person is too much stressed out, the food that we eat, the body goes into a survival mode, which means it says, oh my God, there's something happening. So I have to save all the food that I'm eating, and it converts it into fat. It is not efficient in converting it into into glucose and energy. So it actually converts it into fat. So there have been studies that has been proved that the same number of calories a person eats, a stressful person eats, and a not stressful person eats, the person who are stressful eat the calories, they tend to get more weight. So it is one of the reasons, stress is one of the reasons why people can lose weight faster. And it is important to know because the body goes into the survival mode. And it is the fat that creates the visceral fat. It is the fat that is around the organs of the body, which is not good. It's not the subcutaneous fat around the skin, actually, under the skin, but the visceral fat, not. So it goes into the survival mode, and it's hard to lose weight when we are under constant stress. This happens over a period of time, and then we have the aging process along with all of this. So we can imagine what happens under chronic stress that goes on in our body. So now what can we do about it? There are a few things. Number one, beautiful, what Annie was mentioning, meditation, I love it. Yoga. And then nutrition is a huge part. And a simple fact in which how we balance our nutrition inside our body, we can balance these stress hormones in the body. nutrition, then I love herbalism. So Western herbalism helps in managing the adaptogens of the stress level in our body. So one simple tip that I would like to give right now is breakfast. How breakfast affects the stress in our body. If we skip breakfast, a lot of us skip breakfast because we are in a hurry, and a lot of us eat carbohydrate-loaded breakfast. So when we skip breakfast, what happens? When we skip breakfast, the blood glucose level goes down. It shoots down very dramatically, and but the sugar should be high. It should be moderated in one level actually. So the cortisol level becomes high, it pulls the energy from the muscles, and it creates the blood glucose to go high, which means there's a huge spike in the blood glucose level. This causes us edginess and anger and irritation in the morning, and also it doesn't help us to focus very well. So we don't eat breakfast. The second one is if we eat too much carbohydrate-related breakfast, like waffles, pancakes, syrups, yummy things, right? And pastries. So when we eat this high in the morning, what happens is the blood sugar steeply go high up, super high, and then all the insulin gets very high. Because of that, the stress hormone, the cortisol, which is needed in our body, drops down. We feel very tired. If you have a carbohydrate-related food, then we tend to go to sleep, right? We have all experienced this. So a good breakfast is to have a good high protein-related breakfast. Have a good protein in the morning, like the size of the palm. That's all one serving of protein is. And have one size of carbohydrate, because that will help to balance the blood sugar and also some healthy fats. So this would be a good protein breakfast in the morning, and it sets the energy and the tone for the entire day without any blood sugar spikes, and it keeps mind focused. And also during lunchtime, we can add 2 servings of carbohydrates, and during dinner, when we want to go to sleep, eat good carbohydrates related food, so that we can simply go to sleep well. At that time, the insulin level is high, so it can take up all the carbohydrate that we put in, and also the stress level hormone will go down, which is the natural rhythm in the body. So on a final note, we can't stop all the issues that comes to us externally. We have been working in GSP and IGP, and today GSP and IGP might just take a break. The servers will just decide to stop. We put some patches and everything gets messed up. None of these things we can stop. This is our life. Or we have a family emergency that we have to rush.
Yeah.
Right? So all these things we can't stop coming at us. But what we have the choice is what we put in our mouth. So what I would really encourage every one of you is to try for 1 week, have a good protein breakfast without skipping it, just for 1 week, and see how you feel throughout the day. Thank you. So if you have any questions for Annie or me, please.
Yes, are there questions?
I've got one.
It's got one.
I always have a question. Talk about exercise as far as, you know, the reducing stress, relation to meditation, nutrition.
What do you think on exercise, stress and exercise?
Yeah.
I think for me it's critical, and I only learned this about maybe 7 years ago. I wish I had learned it much earlier in my life, but I think it was at a time where I, again, had a lot of work stress, and I started just going to the gym first thing in the morning. And I don't always know why. Sankar could probably tell you better why it helped. For me, it was, again, that meditation of the brain. I had to concentrate on what I was doing. If I did work while I was exercising, it was in a more productive way. And I think that was probably had to do more with my hormones while I was exercising than anything else. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, totally. Adding on to what you were saying, and if there are, let's say there are happy hormones that is there in the body that gets secreted when we exercise, and we feel energized, because when we sit all day long, it is like how I can compare it is like a car that is idle. Like you start the car and the engine is just starting, but it is not moving. It is just sitting idle. But we switch it off, then the entire body sleeps. So it is like sleep. But all day long, we eat, and most of the time we sit and we do. That's our job actually. So when we sit and we do our job like constantly, then the food will not get digested. It gets converted into fat. So when we move, then the fat, then we will use up the energy, and we'll also release some of the lactic acid that is sitting up in the body, and we will feel much more refreshed.
And I
So
might as well
definitely, yeah.
plug Great Minds Hiking Club. Emily just joined the club, but we do hike every Saturday morning. Right now they're early risers, but if you want to join, we do have a Facebook group that you can join, and we usually let you know on that Facebook group where we're hiking if you're interested.
What parts of the valley do you normally? Is it all over?
I think we've been going to Glendale, but I go all over. I'm willing to drive 45 minutes to an hour if we need to. I've hiked most of the mountains here. I tell you, the view from the top always looks the same. Really, it just depends on how hard I have to work to get to the top as to how beautiful it is when I get there. That's gonna happen. What time are you hiking? Well, right now we're hiking, I think around 5:30 we're starting. It's just been so hot, but we can certainly push that out now that the temperature's gone down. You interested?
Yeah,
Make sure to
right now my group hikes up 4.
Okay.
So I miss it.
If you missed that one, you can go back. Other questions? Great Minds Matter
I
on
have a
Facebook,
question.
you'll find us.
Shankar, you don't have eggs on your protein.
Yes.
Is that for a reason, or?
There are some people who are mostly insensitive and cannot digest eggs actually, so that's one of the reasons it is not there.
Okay.
Yeah, and again it is related to the food allergies. Some people are sensitive to some food, some people are not sensitive to some food. It's different between food allergies, like eat food that's going to make you break out, it's an allergy. But insensitivity is something that it can create eczema, psoriasis, skin problems. It is, the body thinks it as a pathogen, and it actually says, hey, this is not food, and it will start attacking it. So there are some like eggs, or I did a blood test for finding out my food sensitivity, and I'm allergic to green peas and cashews and almonds and oats, oatmeal.
Wow.
Yeah, so it is different for different person. So once when we are aware of that one, then we should just be mindful of not having that and move on to the other.
Okay, thanks.
How about Mickey Mouse cupcakes?
Cupcakes, I love cupcakes. And you know and one more thing is about all the food that we eat. These are guidelines, right? These are guidelines in which we can try to achieve our health goal. But if you're going to like a family meeting or just a party or a happy hour or something, that's the essence of life, right? I mean, you want to enjoy. So just go for it. It's not. These are not like hard and fast rules, but something to consider where you do most of the time, and so that you can help your health goals. But at the same time, be mindful when we are going to the party or coming here, have a cupcake, have coffee, or Thanksgiving or Christmas. Those are all the the fun times. We don't want to miss out on those things. So that's something that I would like to share.
Thank you.
Question.
Yes.
In the morning I do oatmeal, maybe about 7 or 8 almonds.
Okay.
I get to work in an hour and a half. I'm starving. That's more stress.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, and I know what's coming. First of all, I'm an AP. Okay. I know what's coming. I'm just trying to get the right things in there. I've done very well with the carrots and cucumbers, and I'm trying to find something that's going to stick with me so I don't have to eat so much of it.
Okay, great question. Are you a vegetarian or non-vegetarian?
Nah.
Do you have a preference?
I'm not a vegetarian. I eat everything.
You eat everything. Okay, there are two options. One for vegetarian who are in the audience. For vegetarian, it's good to have, it should be starting with, because oatmeal is mostly carbohydrates, which is great, but it's not going to sit in our stomach for more than an hour, and we get hungry. So starting with the protein, a protein shake is better. I mean, a protein shake is just a recommendation. It's not just like any whey protein that we get it from the store. But for me, I'll give an example of a breakfast, a good breakfast. So you get a protein powder, maybe brown rice protein powder or a pea protein powder. I prefer vegetarian sourced protein powder because a lot of people have allergy towards dairy, so wheat is dairy. And so a good protein powder, add some cashew milk or almond milk in that one, a couple of scoops of protein powder, and then add some maybe some organic berries. You can find good mixed organic berries in Costco, big bag, organic berries for like $10 actually. Throw some in there, and you can add some treats in that one and mix it up.
I like the spinach.
Yeah, the spinach, yes, spinach,
Yeah.
whatever
You say
you like.
organic berries.
There you go,
I
yes.
love blueberries, I love raspberries, yes.
Yes, the smaller berries have, the smaller the fruit, the lower the sugar.
Blueberries.
Blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, those are lower in sugar actually. So you can add that along with the protein powder and take it in. And
Can I do that
then,
in the base of the oatmeal? Can I
no,
not?
add along with the oatmeal.
No.
Along with the oatmeal, and then have an avocado, like half an avocado or a tablespoon of olive oil or something like that, so you have some fat in that. Also, if you're open to it, you can try having fish in the morning. Fish, try it in the morning. Or have chicken in the morning. Just this is the size, the palm size, that's all you need. Have that in a little bit of oatmeal and have a little bit of salad or sauteed, veggies. You'll feel great throughout the day. You won't feel hungry.
I can't function without breakfast.
Yes, yes. Yeah, not everybody can.
Yeah.
Have a breakfast.
Thank you.
Good. Very good. Okay.
Any other questions? There is some handout that we have given that gives guideline of all the healthy proteins and fats and also carbohydrates. And if you would like more of this, because this is just only one aspect, let us know. We can, as Annie was saying, we can have a lunch session, lunch and learn session.
Yeah, that would be good.
And we can do a lot more in nutrition.
Yeah.
Is there an interest for that?
Yes.
Definitely.
Oh, yes.
Did everyone hear about it? Okay. Did everyone hear about the sign-in sheet? Here's a sign-in sheet. If you're interested in hearing more or doing a lunch and learn, it'd be good to know. It does take some energy to put these things together, but absolutely, I'm willing to commit. I'm sure you are too.
Yes.
You have our commitment, so just let us know that. And again, sign up on a sign-in sheet. You can also find us on Facebook.
Okay.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks a lot.
You don't need to leave. For those of you who don't need to leave, we are going to start the music round or the open mic of the Open Mic Coffee House, and I really thank everybody for coming today.
Thank you. Thank you.